Hello, music lovers, clock collectors, and fine arts enthusiasts. Hey, I gotta tell you, this old house I live in here with my wife, this house is 104 years old now. It was built in 1919. And there's been some strange goings on in this house. Now, my daughter always thought, when she lived here, she always thought the house was haunted, and I don't really believe in ghosts, but the other day, I gotta tell you, I heard something rustling around there in the basement. Went down there and I gotta show you what I found, all right? Just hang in there. Now let's just take a walk downstairs and see what we got here. Go down the old basement cave. Be careful, these steps are steep. Whoa! Whoa! Dogs barking. Just had a music session down here earlier today. Yeah, I heard some rustling around down here one night about 3 in the morning, and look at that. I don't know how that got down here. It's sitting right there on the workbench. Let's take a closer look at this. Take a gander at this thing. This is an old Seth Thomas. And I'm going to guess, this is kind of an estimated guess. As you can see, let me get my pointer out here. Right here says Seth Thomas Plymouth Hollow, okay? Down here it says Seth Thomas Thomaston. All right. They changed the name of this town from Plymouth Hollow to Tolliston. I was from Gary, and we lived near Tolliston and Gary. Thomaston. And about 1866, I believe that happened. So I'm thinking, with this name here and this name here, I bet this clock is from the late 1860s. I'm going to guess. She's in pretty rough shape here. As you can see, the veneer is peeling off, and it's not too bad right here. The sides have peeled off. This is loose. These are all the parts I found inside the clock. Right here. Got the hands, got the little brass washer. These go on the top. It does not have a crutch here. That's missing. The gong is an Ansonia, so that's not right for the clock. Got some parts that came unglued. This goes to the side. This key, this crank right here came with it. It would crank the clock, but we're not going to use this. I don't know if you can, let me get this up in the light here. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but somebody has took some pliers and pinched this key to make it fit this clock. Looks like this is worn off right here. This clock, I believe, took a size 3 key, 3 or 4. I'm going to get a key for this, and I may have to take and file this down to make the correct key fit because it's wound down here. Now, we're going to start on this. I need some parts for this clock, and the weights were missing. And I'm going to take the weights off my cuckoo clock, see if I can't find a crutch for this in my stuff. I believe I got 2 crutches here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I believe that this crutch is going to fit this clock right here. See that? You just got to cut it off. Now, what I'm thinking, I've got this old movement from an OG clock. It's unmarked. However, these movements were pretty similar, and I'm going to use the crutch from this right here as a measurement to manufacture this crutch for this clock. Where that's bent, that's where I'm going to bend, and where that loop goes, that's where I'm going to loop this one. And that's what I was thinking. Also, we going to replace this. And I got this from Amazon the other day. This is veneer. It's 3/4 of an inch thick. I cut a little piece off the inside. It would look like this. This is adhesive right here that you would iron on. Of course, this is curved right here, so I don't know if I'm going to have any success with this veneer or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. And also, I noticed with this 3/4 inch veneer, I was kind of wondering when I ordered it if you put it together this way, if you could see this, would it show? And it doesn't. If you put that up against that one like that, you can't, maybe you can't tell, but there you go. It's going to look fine. It doesn't look like anything ever happened right there. So I'm going to give that a fair shot. Like I said in my earlier videos, I never restore a clock, but this one here really needs a lot of loving. And I got some parts coming for it. Got a dial for it here. It's in okay shape, but I think I'm going to recover this dial, make it look nice. And yeah, let's get busy on this thing. Just a little gold touch-up paint here, little brown touch-up paint over here. With put a little paint on here and then sprayed a little water on it, make it marble out. I think we'll be okay there. But my main concern on this clock is the veneer. I don't want to look cheesy when I get done. If I have no success putting the veneer on this clock, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to peel all the veneer off, and I'm going to sand this down, and you're going to have grain going this way, and that's going to be fine with me. But that's not the way I want to. That's not the outcome I'm looking for. I'm telling you. That's called a column weight clock, I guess. And I think they made it from this is probably an early model, like I said, and I think they made it up to about 1885. That would be the circa for this one here, the era for this clock. Also on the top, I cannot for the life of me. Oh, there is a hole drilled here with an auger bit right there. Okay. And on the bottom of the clock, there is one here and one here. 2 holes drilled with an auger bit. For the life of me, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if they had something mounted here, because I looked at all kinds of pictures and early ads for these clocks, and I see nothing up here and nothing on, no feet or no stand on the bottom, so I don't know what that's all about. Also, one more interesting thing. I don't know if I got enough lights where you can read this or not, but let's get close here. There is a tag right there, and it's from a jeweler. I cannot read his name, but it starts with capital C, capital M, and I think it might say Jenkins, because this part of the tag is, and it says jeweler. And he was located number 1 Public Square, Shelbyville, Indiana, if you can see that. I'm going to try to save that and put it on the back of the clock because I'm going to take this label off. I got another label coming. I'm going to take this label off and replace it, and I'm going to try to save that and put it on the back. But anyway, that number 1 Public Square, that address still exists, and it's a nightclub called Capone's right now. I looked it up, and must be an old building, because I'm thinking this clock is from the late 1860s. But yeah, I'm going to get busy on this. Also, there's a nut and a bolt right here, and he's got a piece of wood. Whoever had this clock before, they got a piece of wood right here. And nuts and bolts, that's taboo on an old clock right there. We got to get rid of that. I'm going to do the old toothpick trick there, where I'm going to fill that hole in with a few toothpicks, let it dry, sand it down so we got some wood there, and then we'll figure out a little bracket for this here. I may even have a bracket for this clock, so we'll see. First of all, we're going to probably pull that movement out. Well, you know what? Before I pull this movement out, I'm going to go take the weights off my cuckoo clock, and I'm going to hook them up to these. I super glued that right there, but I got some new line for it. I super glued that just on account, you know what I mean? But I'm going to throw my cuckoo clock weights on there, and fasten that crutch on there before I pull this movement out, and I want to see if I can get this movement to operate before I pull it out. And I think that's the very first thing I'm going to do to this clock. Alrighty. Okay, so far I've got the crutch put in here. It's not bent right. It's kind of strange the way it's the crutch I've got. This comes down on the other side. I don't know how that's all going to work out. I might end up using the old crutch from this old movement. I don't know. Here it is laying here. As you can see, it comes down off the old side, so that's a bridge I'm going to have to cross when I get to it. Also, the suspension spring and rod, this is the one that came with it. You can see how it was bent here. And that would work right there. Got to tap it out on the floor a little bit. It's kind of bent up. But I've got this old one here that looks in a little better shape. I'm going to tap this one out, and also this actually came out of a clock of some sort, and it was bent, and it's probably about the right size. And I'm going to go ahead and use this one right here. See what happens. Okay, I showed you that suspension rod spring. You can see now that it's straight. You can take these and tap them on an anvil or a piece of steel. I just lay it down on the cement floor and take the hammer and tap it straight. Don't try to bend it or anything. Just lightly tap it, and that's what you find here. Okay, I still got the movement in there. And what I did was I borrowed a weight from one of my OG clocks, the time weight. Put that on there and stuck a piece of string in there. I did not want to wind new string on this and before I took the movement out, because I'm going to take this movement out and I'm going to soak it in some solution, and then I'm going to bring it down and lube it up and all that stuff. But I do have it running. And I don't know if anybody have ever seen the old Andy Griffith movie, A Face in the Crowd. But when this camera went off, man, I was livid, man. I was, first of all, this is my cord I use for my OG clocks and stuff. Pretty good stuff. I looked high and low for that. All I wanted was a little piece. I didn't wind this up here. I got a piece of new cord, but I just tied it to the old cord so I could just use this weight right here. And also we talked about using the, I don't even know what I did with it. Let me go look over here. Using this new crutch right here, or one of them, it's laying here. And number one, the rod comes off the other side, the wrong side. I thought it would still work. It probably would if I kept messing with it, but I just took the crutch off this old movement right here, and this has an adjuster screw on it, and so I adjusted it up so it would work on this clock. The teeth and everything were the same as this movement. I think we're gonna, with a little bit of lube and a little bit of cleaning and a little more adjusting on this one here, I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape. It's running pretty good, actually. I bet that clock hasn't run in years and years and years. Also, they had this nut and bolt right here, and they had a little piece of molding, which I didn't even, oh, here it is right here. And they had that strapped on there with a nut and bolt. But actually what that did was pull the top of the movement down so it was crooked. So with the movement crooked, this wasn't going to hang in the right place right here. So I'm going to have to fashion a molding that spaces this away from the clock case itself, because it's supposed to set level. It wasn't set level, it was pushed back. And we're going to have to work with that. I might even have the right molding to go up here like this right here. I think there was probably a piece glued or nailed or something here, and then that fit up in there or something. I don't know. Or there was some two little things here. I'm not sure how that all worked out, but we're going to make it right. All right, the old Seth Thomas has been running for over an hour now and no problems. This right here, just a temporary fix. I took and tied a little piece of new cord to an old thing here, and because I didn't want to rewind these with new string, knowing that I'm going to take this upstairs and dip it in some solution. And well, I think the next step on this, I'm kind of waiting on parts. You know what I happen to think, though, my stack of stuff here, aha, Okay, we're one step ahead of the game here. This, I showed you earlier, it's pretty bent. This is a number 3 key. Seems pretty good, It's gonna work. And I don't have to file this down like I thought. It fits right on there. All right, so we got the key. This one here, I'm gonna work on this key, maybe make it, it'll work on here, but I don't really want to use it. I want a newer key because this is all bent up and stretched out and everything. But the next step on this, I'm gonna pull that movement out and take the old cord off of it, each side, keep it for measurement purposes. This one on this side, it was a whole cord when I got it. It looks fairly new. It's not from 160 years ago. Somebody's put this on here. And I'll use it for a measurement. I'm waiting on some weights to come in. I'll take this upstairs, clean it, and then in the meantime I'll start working on the case on this thing. Now one more thing, before I take this movement out, this little tab here, I did work on this little tab. He had a nut and a bolt through here. You can see the hole onto the side there. But I took it and I filed it down a little more, then I put some shims behind it, put it back on there. As you can see, it's just a little loose there, but once I tighten this down, this is going to hold that just where you want it. He had this strapped over here and it was pulling the movement back sideways like this. You want the movement sitting up on here like this so it's level, like that. And then I just got this hand tight, it's just sitting in there. But anyway, once I get it back together, that's how it's going to go, just like that. Alright, I got the movement out. I'm going to take it upstairs like I said, but the suspension let me start over here. The suspension rod and spring, I decided, I've had this old spring right here, and I cut it off the other rod that was on. Let me turn it over. And I took the spring off of this. It was kind of crimped and everything. I tried to straighten it out, but I just wasn't happy with it. Now, this is a newer spring, and so I went ahead and soldered it on this rod here. And it's exactly the same size as the original, only it's just a better quality rod here. Yeah, before I start getting into that clock case, I'm going to try to repair this face right here, if you see this. It's here's a duplicate of it. I made copies at the office store, quality paper. And this is got a raise right here. So what I need to do is when I glue this face on here, I need to have something to go around this to hold it down there, and something on the inside to hold it down until the glue dries. And I'm gonna have to look around and find something that will do that for me. But in the meantime, let me see if I can't get that face on there. This is my first attempt at replacing the veneer on any clock. I don't know how it's all going to turn out, but it's to use a heat gun, and it's got adhesive on the back. I got it from Amazon. It's a walnut. Looks like this, 50 foot. It's got the adhesive on the back. I use a heat gun, heat it up. I put the front on, pushed it down with the nylon stick, and it seemed to stick okay, but I've got to make this bend, so I clamped it down in the front so it wouldn't move. Then I clamped it down in the back. As you see, I have these wedges here, and it's flush on here. Then I sprayed it down with water. Then I did that a couple of times. Then I took the heat gun hot, dried it off, sprayed it again, dried it off, and I'll leave that sit all night. I'd like to save the veneer on the bottom, but I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll see what happens. I know I'm going to do the top, and I've got the sides. Well, you probably can't see because I don't have my light on, but anyway, the sides I've got peeled off here, and the top I peeled off. So hopefully it'll make a definite improvement in this old boy. Also, if you remember the bezel, the face, let's get this out on the light here. I recovered the face. Used some glue all, Elmer's glue all. Copied that face right there at Staples at the office store. Put it on there, and then I used a roller that you would use for wallpaper seams, and rolled it out and used a heat gun and smoothed it out so there wasn't any wrinkles in it. But it looks a lot better than it did. All right, still working on the old clock. I was pretty successful in replacing the veneer. This would be the top of the clock right here, and I scraped the veneer off. At least I got the front done. I still need to do the sides right here, both right and left, but the front I've got done, and I've got it glued down. This stuff worked pretty good. The bottom I'm gonna salvage. I've got it all re-glued, strapped down, and also this is the veneer that I scraped off the top right here, and coincidentally I could make some patches for the bottom because it's curved right, and so that's what I did. I made a couple of patches for the bottom where it was missing, because the bottom veneer was in pretty good shape other than a few places. I ran a bead of glue. As you see, I've got the two straight edges right here. I ran a bead of glue here and here to hold the edges down, and I've got it clamped. Also, I got it clamped because I put a patch right in here with this old veneer. And we'll see how that looks. If I can lightly sand that and everything, the sides are in pretty good shape. I still got to turn the clock around and do the sides on there, but I was surprised on how nice this veneer came out. I used a heat gun to put that on, then I clamped it down, and then right at the edge I ran some glue all in there, some Elmer's glue all in there, and then clamped that down overnight. And I've got the moldings off here so I could work on it, and I think we'll be okay there. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to turn out to be a nice clock. Really pretty. Well, I got a few band-aids on this old Seth Thomas right here. I took these out, and I took the side moldings off of there. I got them laying right here. Let me get it in the light. And I cleaned them up and put a little gold paint here and there, and I did a little bit of kind of a fall marble thing on these because they had a lot of the paint was missing and whatever. And I got the veneer done. I patched this veneer up here. And earlier when I started this video, I was just kind of kidding about the house being haunted, but I got to show you something. See that clock right there to the right? That started running by itself. I never touched it, and that's what time it is right there. I'm just saying. All right, I'm a little bit further along with this old column weight Seth Thomas clock. I believe it's from the 1860s, and I've got the dial in there. I've got the door hung. I've got the reverse painting cleaned off of this glass. It's the original glass because you can tell by the seeds and the imperfection in the glass. And I've got a couple of parts still. I'm still waiting on a couple of parts, which would be the inside label and the weights. I've got the movement cleaned up. Also, I got put two little wood stops here and here, and I got the door to fit. This is my first attempt on recreating some veneer on this clock, and it's okay. I'm not saying it's an A+, but it's got to be about a B+, if there was a grade to it. And right now what we're going to do is duplicate a reverse painting on this glass right here. I'm going to pull this door back off, And this is what we're going to do. I've got a method as to recreate the reverse painting. I've got a print here. It's very similar to what was on the clock originally, other than this clock had a halo like this. The outside had a black border, a vignette you might call it, and then it had a picture very similar to this print that I got here. And this is going to go in this clock, and what we're going to do, I'll clean this glass, put this in here and sandwich it between two pieces of glass. Then the inside glass I will paint on the inside so it looks like a reverse painting. And this will be sandwiched between the two glasses, and you'll see a brush painting on the inside just like it was done in the old days. Now I got to show you a little trick here. I was in the glass business for 43 years. Here's an 8x10 frame right here. It came from Dollar General right there. Where are you going to get a piece of 8x10 glass for $4? So I go and buy the frame, and also picture frame glass is just a little bit thinner than say glass you buy at a glass shop or a hardware store or whatever. It's just a little bit thinner. You got to be a little bit more careful cutting it. But anyway, it's excellent for doing this application because it's a little bit thinner so it fits in this frame right here. So we're going to get busy and we're going to get this done here. And so far so good on this clock. It doesn't look really too bad. I'm kind of anxious to get this thing up and running. All right, I got this piece of glass cut to sandwich the print in between. And I don't know if you can tell, but that's real thin glass. That's not even a 1/16 of an inch. Got to be real careful when you cut that. Got an old cutter here left over from work when I retired in 2015. And you know what? When you're cutting any kind of glass, make sure you got this wheel oiled up. Oil your wheel. Don't press on it like a madman either. You don't need to. But anyway, this should fit the opening right here. And we're going to see if it fits. I'm going to clean it up and stick it on top of the print. And then I'm going to, before I install it, I'm going to paint this with a paintbrush on the inside. And I'll let it dry, then I'm going to go ahead and install it in there. Okay, I got this glass cut. I got to show you something. I cut this glass just a sliver too big. My miscalculation. But you know, when you're working with glass, it's not a big deal. If it's just a little bit, you take a coarse sandpaper like this. And you sandpaper the edge right here. And you keep sanding it, and it don't take much. And until you get a good fit. And I usually go around all four sides anyway to make it a better job. But yeah, see, there's a little bit of something right here where I miscalculated a little bit, and it just doesn't fit in the opening. I mean, I could force it in there, but you don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to sand this down and make it nice. Just a little spot right there. So that's what we're doing right now. Okay, I've got the glass cut, I've got the back painted black, and I'm ready to install it in the door. See, this will give the look of reverse painting here once I get done. Okay, I got the blacked out glass installed in there. I got the print sandwiched between two pieces of glass. Now the moldings, I'm going to put back on there. I took them out in the garage, and I took a 1/16 of an inch off of there, ground a 1/16 of an inch off on the grinder. Now I didn't even measure it, but what I did was, I did the first one. And I did what I thought was a 1/16 of an inch, and I just compared it with the second one. Okay, then I did this one and ground off what I thought was the 1/16, and I compared it with the first one. If it's a 1/16 inch smaller, I'm good. Then I took the last one and I ground it down to match the other two. So yeah, I took it down. Now I'm not going to nail this back in. I'm going to run a bead of silicone rubber around this, and I'm going to fashion these in there where you won't see the glue. Instead of nailing it and take a chance on breaking the glass or distorting this frame in any way, I'm just going to go ahead and glue it and leave it set overnight. You know, through this video, I made a couple of lighthearted comments about my house being haunted. I was just kind of being lighthearted about it, but a couple of strange things happened since I started this video. If you see the clock on the right, while I was doing the video, that clock took off by itself and it was on the correct time. Well, it stopped by itself, and if you look at the clock on the left and you look at the clock on the right, they're on the same time. And this is pretty much what it looks like with the moldings on it, just like that. We'll let that set overnight and then we'll have a look at it tomorrow. Should look pretty good. Once I get it cleaned up and everything, it looks going to look fine. Alright, I got the door back on. That's the print that I chose. Other than the black paint with the halo, the oval around it, it's similar to what was on the clock. Got the new face on there. Looks a little better. And this is what the door looks like on the inside. It's hand painted on the inside. I used black craft paint with it on a small brush. And so it kind of looks like reverse painting on it. And it's sandwiched between two pieces of glass there, as you can see. And the moldings are on here, three sides. This actually, the glass actually tucks up into here, but the inside glass, I didn't tuck it. There was no room to tuck it in. Just the print and the first piece of glass would fit up there. The moldings are glued on, no nails. I thought it would be best. And it's coming together. Sure looks a lot different than when I first got the clock. That's a $12 clock right there. Just waiting on the weights and the inside label. Should be good. Alright, I just got my label in. I've got it, it was rolled up in this tube like this. Looks like could have been a paper towel tube or whatever. That's the way he ships it. So I rolled it backwards. I'll let it sit there for a while. It's not a bad copy at all. Now I'm going to install this in the clock. I have pulled this away from the back, not to get it off the nails, just pull it up a little bit so I can run this part up under here like this. And tuck this in like this. Similar to that. We'll have to fashion it in there. But it should be nice. Should be nice. And also, when I use the glue, I've got a wallpaper tool here. I will get the bubbles out and like that. And this is a pretty close copy to what was in there. Also, where the gong goes, this is not where it's going to go. Where the gong goes, there was several holes. Several holes where the gong goes underneath this paper here. So I marked them on the back so I know exactly which holes fits this gong. Because this clock originally, when I bought it, it had an Ansonium gong on it, which wasn't right for the clock. And I since bought the correct gong for it, and it goes here. You'll see where it goes here. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, I've got the label in. Don't look too closely because there was a few mistakes on there. Got ahead of myself. I didn't have the thinking cap on. But as it did turn out okay. But one thing, if you put the label on, and what I didn't do, and I've put labels on before inside clocks, look, it's this easy. Divide the label in half. Glue this part, get it set, okay? Get that set. Then fold this back, then glue that next half, and then glue that in, and then everything is square and it's easy peasy. No, I had to put the glue on the whole thing and stick it in there, and I had opened up a can of worms when I did that. But anyway, it's in there. It's square. I've got the gong on there. It's in the right place, and hey, you know what? It doesn't look too bad. Now, if I can just get the weights in, I will restring the movement with new cord, hooks, and everything, and put that in there, put the face on, and the clock will be done. I don't know where it's going to be in the house, but I got to find a place in the house for this one. All right. Just enjoying a nice evening cup of coffee. Hope everybody's got a cup. Hey, I'm all done with this old Seth Thomas clock. Like I said, I don't restore clocks. All I do is detail them out, get them running, and make them look halfway decent. And let me show you what I got here. Okay, I'm all set with it. I got the glass tablet replaced on that. Got a new face on there. It looks pretty good. Found the crank for it on eBay. Size, what size is this? Size 3. See if it's running. Looks like it's running. As you can see, what I did with the glass tablet. 2 pieces of glass, sandwiched a print in between there, painted that black. Did the veneer on this one. This has been a work in progress. I'm still waiting on the weights to come for this clock. However, I borrowed a set of weights from an old Waterbury I have, and I put them on there because I wanted to finish this clock. I wanted to wind the cord on the movement, make sure the movement was running and everything. Found this crutch on another movement that I had, an old movement. Looks like it's going to run pretty good. We'll just have to adjust the time. Yep, that's about all the damage I can do to that one right there. And hey, thanks for watching this. And hey, if you'd like to subscribe and hit like, I'd appreciate it. There'll be plenty of other videos later on this year. Maybe a clock video, maybe some music, maybe repairing a guitar. Who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, there's the old Seth Thomas.